So our chapter is acid, bases and salts. So one thing I think all of us know that acid plus base gives salt plus water. So you can consider salts to be the combinational product of an acid and a base. So what is this acid or what is this base? Let us go deep into it. So anything which tastes sour contains acid in it. For example, lime, for example, vinegar. Okay, so anything which tastes sour in nature consists of acid. And in case of base, the taste of base is actually bitter. Many a times it must have happened that whenever we bath or we shampoo our hair, a small amount of shampoo or soap can enter into our mouth accidentally, and when we get its taste, it is bitter in taste, right? So it contains base in it. As a result, it has a bitter taste. So out of acids and bases, acids are very corrosive. It can cause huge damage to our skin, especially if it is a mineral acid. Mineral acid in the sense which is produced artificially in the laboratory. We will come to that later on in the chapter. So let us see what are acids. The major constituent of every acid is hydrogen. Hydrogen has to be present in each and every acid. That is something which is inseparable. And when an acid is dissolved in water, hydronium ions are released into the solution. So now what are hydronium ions? Hydronium ions is the combination of water molecule and a hydrogen ion. So H2O, water, plus H plus. So H plus is the hydrogen ion. This will give you H3O plus. So hydronium ion is actually the product of water and hydrogen ion. So whenever an acid is dissolved in water, it will always produce or it will always release hydronium ions. So using a litmus paper, we can test these hydronium ions, and hence we can say that okay, this is an acid. So let's see acids in detail. Acids are defined as compounds which contain one or more hydrogen atoms, and when dissolved in water produce hydronium ions as the only positively charged ions. As you can see in the very next reaction, HCl plus H2O gives H3O plus Cl minus. So whenever an acid is dissolved in water, the first product or the first positive ion which will be produced is hydronium ion, and along with that, any other non-metallic ion will be formed. Similarly, let us come to HNO3 plus H2O. We see again H3O plus is forming, along with that NO3 minus is forming. So hydronium ion is the most important thing which is formed whenever an acid is dissolved in water, and each and every acid contains hydrogen atom as its constituent. So there are many naturally occurring acids. I told you two examples initially. One was lime or lemon, and the other one was vinegar, which we generally use in our day-to-day lives. Along with that, there are many other such examples. Let us see. So acetic acid is present in vinegar. Citric acid is present in citrus fruits such as oranges and lemons. Butyric acid is present in rancid butter. So rancid butter means butter which has become which no longer can be eaten, which is no longer edible. It has got spoiled. Hydrochloric acid is present in the gastric juice present in our stomach, which helps in digestion. Formic acid is present in the sting of bees and ants. Whenever bees or ants bite us, it is, or you can say sting us actually, it is very painful. So what causes the pain? The pain is caused due to formic acid. Next is lactic acid, which is present in sour milk. It can be sour milk, it can be curd. Sometimes we see that the milk which we bring from a shop gets spoiled. So that spoiled milk contains lactic acid in it. Malic acid is present in apples. Olive oil contains oleic acid. Similarly, oxalic acid is present in tomatoes. Stearic acid is present in various types of fats which are present in our body. Right? Fats are also compounds formed by the combination of acids. Tartaric acid is present in grapes, tamarind, and apples again, and uric acid is present in our urine. So these names should be there in your memory because questions might be asked from here. So these are the naturally occurring acids. They are not produced in the laboratory. They are formed naturally in plants or in animals. Now let's see about different types of acids. So there are lots of classification of acids. We will learn one of them at a time. So depending upon the source, whether it is organic or whether it is inorganic. Organic means which are natural, and inorganic means which are produced in the laboratory. Acids which are obtained usually from plants are called organic acids. They contain carbon atom also along with hydrogen atom. So since we are talking about organic acids, therefore carbon will always be a major constituent of these type of acids. So these acids are derived from plants or plant products such as fruits, vegetables, etc., and they contain carbon also along with hydrogen. So there are two examples. You just have to remember the examples, not the chemical formula. Oxalic acid and acetic acid. There can be many other examples like malic acid or the tartaric acid. There can be many other such examples. So these acids are not strong acids, they are very weak. That means they will not cause any damage to our body, because we are very easily able to eat fruits which contain acids, but we do not face any issue. So these acids are not, they are not strong, they are quite weak in nature. Next is inorganic acid. Like I told you, they are not obtained naturally, they are prepared in the laboratory and they do not contain carbon. There is one exception to this case, which is carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is present in carbonated drinks such as Coca-Cola and all. So that is produced artificially. So that's why it contains carbon. But other than carbonic acid, no other mineral acid contains, or no other inorganic acid contains carbon in it. So there are a few examples: hydrochloric acid HCl, sulfuric acid H2SO4, nitric acid HNO3. So these are very strong acids. Even if a small droplet of these acids fall on your skin, the skin will get corroded, the skin will face burns. So since carbonic acid is produced artificially, but since it contains carbon also, we can see that it is quite weak in nature. So you have studied it in the lower classes that if we put blue litmus in acidic solution, it will turn red. But in case of carbonic acid, since it is quite weak, it will not turn fully red. It will turn a light reddish color, not completely bright red, it will be light reddish in color, because it is not very strong. And this is the reason why it is used in soft drinks. Otherwise, if we would consume it, we would have died. So since it is not very strong, therefore we can consume it also. Next, we will talk about acids depending upon the presence of oxygen atoms and the presence of only hydrogen atoms. Let's see. Acids which contain oxygen along with hydrogen and some other element are called oxyacids. So hydrogen is a major constituent of every acid, like I told you, but if oxygen is also present along with hydrogen or any other compound or any other element, then it will be called an oxyacid. For example, nitric acid HNO3, H is there, O is also there. Sulfuric acid H2SO4, H is also there, O is also there, so it will be called oxyacid. Now if we talk about hydroacids, it means it does not contain oxygen, it contains only hydrogen. For example, HCl, hydrochloric acid, so only H is there, no oxygen is there. Similarly, if we talk about hydrobromic acid, HBr, there is no oxygen in it, so it is called hydroacid. So we have two different types of acids, one is oxyacids and one is hydroacids. Next, depending upon the concentration. So what do you mean by concentration of a substance? Concentration generally means the amount of water present in the substance. So if you take two containers, in one of them you have taken a very few drops of water, and on the other one you have taken a good glass, one glass of water, okay, and you are pouring the same amount of salt in both. So which will be a concentrated one? The first one, because it contains less number of water molecules, or it contains less amount of water molecules. So concentration depends upon the amount of water present in the solution. So an acid which contains less water and more of the acid is known as concentrated acid, and an acidic solution which contains more water, or you can say a lot of water along with the acid, it will be called dilute acid. Okay, so does it mean that as soon as we dilute an acid it becomes weak? No. If you dilute sulfuric acid to a very high extent, in a huge tub of water, you are just pouring 2 to 3 drops of sulfuric acid, it will still be strong because it has that property in it. We will learn about it in the later parts of the chapter. But in a huge bowl of water, if you place a lot of acetic acid or if you place a lot of tartaric acid, still it will not be strong enough because it has that property in it. So strength of an acid, whether it is strong or whether it is weak, whether it is very dangerous or whether it is not, that depends only upon its property, not upon whether it contains water in large amounts or in small amounts. So concentration is only a factor for understanding how much amount of water is present. So concentrated acid is an acid which contains a very small amount of water or no water at all, and dilute acid means it contains quite a good amount of water. Now there is a very hard and fast rule which we all follow whenever we do experiments in chemistry while diluting an acid. So if there is a work that you have to dilute a very high amount of concentrated acid, what should we do? Should we pour water into the acid or should we pour acid into the water? Let's see. In order to dilute an acid, pour acid into water in small amounts. So we have to take water first and then slowly we will add acid to it. We are not going to do the opposite. We are not going to put water into the acid. We will put acid slowly into the water, and we will keep on stirring it continuously. Why do we do that? Let's see. Water is not added to the acid as it is an exothermic process, and in this process so much heat is produced that splashing of the acidic solution might occur. The acidic solution might splash and fall on our face or hands, and it can cause damage, right? So since it is an exothermic reaction, exothermic means which releases a lot of energy, lot of heat energy. So since if we put water into an acid, it is an exothermic reaction, the acid can splash and it can cause a huge accident. And moreover, the heat is so high that even the glass apparatus may break. And you know, if glass breaks and if it causes any wound, it can be a huge detrimental case. So in order to prevent this, what do? We take quite a good amount of water and slowly we put acid into it drop by drop, and we keep on mixing it continuously. In this way, we are diluting a concentrated acid, but we are not causing any damage. So this is all about concentration. So the same thing which I told you, dilute HCl is stronger than highly concentrated acetic acid. So it does not depend whether the acid is diluted or concentrated. It only depends upon its property, which is how many hydronium ions it has released into the solution. That is the criteria which will determine whether the acid is strong or whether it is weak.